Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the 2005 film Darkwater. Now, as you know, the 2005 film Darkwater is a supernatural horror film, as well as being a remake of the Japanese 2002 film that I did cover a few days ago. So I would say, much like The Grudge, much like The Ring, and much like The Eye, Darkwater was one of the few Japanese films that got an American adaptation. And the premise of the film is meant to follow Delia, who battles her against her ex-husband for custody of their daughter Celia. Now, I would say the difference between Dahlia and Yoshimi is, I think Yoshimi was meant to be a bit more kind of trying to keep the situation under control, and we never really knew much about her backstory. I think what the 2005 one gets right is showing you how Delia had a miserable childhood and does want to kind of do what she thinks is right for her daughter Cece. And I kind of think, yeah, I think having it taking place in New York does work, as it kind of gives this depressed but kind of miserable setting. And when you kind of got the apartment, it does look run down. It looks kind of like a really miserable place. And I think when you kind of got the guy Corey, he does try to help the best he can, but I think kind of gets overwhelmed with everything going on. And I think when you also have the sort of janitor, Mr. Veek, I think his character works because, unlike the Japanese ones, it's kind of hinted that there's more truths about Mr. Veek and about a young girl who used to live in the apartment, Natasha. And it's hinted at more about a darker side to Mr. Veek. And I think what the film tries to do is show how Dahlia has to put up with the apartment seems to be falling apart, water kind of comes all dark and bleak, and you can kind of tell Dahlia is surrounded by unhelpful, negligent, and irresponsible people. I think when you also do have her lawyer, Jeff, it's kind of clear that he's sort of living in his car and sort of living on his own. And I think when you kind of have Mr. Veek, he really shows no concern for anyone and no one else. I think when you've got the young ghost girl in this one, Natasha, I think there was a lot they could have done with her. Like, I think what the Japanese version got right at is when you actually had the ghost girl Mitsuko, I liked how they showed her to be sort of like a zombie-ish like state, showing her to be this once innocent child, now a vengeful spirit. I think they wanted to do it with Natasha, but probably didn't know how to. And I think when you kind of got the dad in the film, Kyle, I think his character's not awful, but I think at least with the 2002 version of Darkwater, you could kind of tell the father's reasons were actually justified and was just worried of Yoshimi's kind of background. I think here it just kind of seems like Kyle's that kind of stereotypical bad dad kind of character, which sort of works, but doesn't really need to be. And I think the ending did kind of cop out, because I kind of think the point of Ikuko being older and going back to the sort of once now abandoned apartment, you actually do see her meeting her mum again and giving you the sign that her mum had always watched over her. I think it's still being the daughter and still young doesn't really work as much. I think, and I do agree with Ryan Hollinger, is the 2005 one is definitely weaker. And yeah, I think there's also a reason why it's definitely got a low film score. It was clear that it was trying to be something close to the 2002 one, and when you do look at the runtime, it's similar, but only adding 3 or 4 extra minutes. I think recommending the Japanese one does work because it was better and knew what it was building. I think the 2005 one is trying to be that, but don't know how it wants to be. As this does remind me with some Power Ranger seasons, like I think it's like looking at Gokaiger because it was an anniversary season using past costumes. The problem with Super Megaforce was it was trying to be something it clearly wasn't. So I think this film definitely deserves a thumbs down. Well, not the best. It still tries to be close to the original. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.